Hi, all, welcome back to my channel. This is Net Solution. Okay, welcome back again. Uh, this video we are still treating about function. We are still on function. We are treating about functions. Okay, on our previous video, we treated on how to define a function, uh, 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 the basic things you need to know about function. Okay, in our previous video, we treated on how to define a function. Okay, right now I want us to go in deep about functions, how you can make use of functions and so many of them. Okay, now in this video we're going to treat nested function and then how to go deep in function. Okay, in case you haven't watched our previous video on how to define a function, click on the link on the name showing above or go to my description. You will see a link of the previous video, uh, functions in Python. Just click on the link and then study it and you'll be able to know how to define a function. Now, without wasting much of your time, let us dive in. Now, remember to define a function, I enter the keyword called def, followed by the function name. Maybe we are still on fruits. Okay, if you don't know how to define a function, if you don't know much about this, just simply click on the link above. Okay, go to my description, you will receive a video on how you can define a function. Okay, without wasting much of your time, once you have defined the function, now you start writing the block of codes, or maybe let's say print maybe here is a list of fruits. That's a list of fruits. Maybe we have, okay, now I may say my fruits equals to list of fruits. Now the list of fruits, maybe we have orange, um maybe banana, and then maybe apple. Okay, these are the list of fruits we have. Okay, after we must have defined this function, these are the list of fruits we have. Okay, we have orange, banana, and apple. Okay, now among these three fruits we have, we want to create a function among the three. Okay, orange has its own function because it's another set of fruits and that has its taste and many other things. Banana is a fruit that has its own taste, color, and some others. Apple, the same thing. They are different, okay, but rather they are fruits. So because of they are fruits, they are stored on a function called fruits because they are all fruits. Now I want to specify them by storing orange in its own function, banana in its own function, and apple in its own function. Okay, because that's how you should do it. After you must have defined a function that contains fruits. Now you want to take each fruit and put it on its own function. Okay, let that function be in the same function called fruits because orange here is a fruit. So defining the function orange in another place or something like that might not be that are good for coding, but it will work. Okay, but the perfect way to do that is just to define the orange function inside of this function. Okay, now to do that inside of this function, it is called nested function. Writing a function inside of a function, it is called nested function. Okay, to do that I can say def orange. Okay, now I've defined a function called orange inside of a function. Why is this thing called nested? As you can see here, there are spaces. Okay, it was indented. So because it was indented, so it is just like a child to this, but not that it's a child. Okay, where you can get a child, and so it is when you are doing inheritance. Okay, but now we're not doing inheritance, but I'm using it as an instance. Okay, because it was indented. Okay, so it will function under this function, means that this function contains this data. Okay, it is stored in a function. As you can see, this function it was not indented. Okay, there's no space here, it was not indented, but this one was indented. Okay, to do the indentation, just follow my previous video, you will learn more about indentation. But normally indentation is just four spaces. If you click four spaces, it will get you here, something like this: 1 2 3 4 is indentation. Or you can simply click on tab. Okay, it is also indentation. Now after, you must have defined this function called orange. I may print maybe just orange. Okay, you can say let the user make choice of how many oranges he wants. You can say customer equals to inputs. Okay, right here, how many oranges do you want? Okay, now we'll print out how many oranges the customer requested. Maybe we enter the variable name with a comma, then we enter uh, oranges. Okay, remember what happened here. This will print out the number the user entered and then include it with the word oranges. So if the user enters 5, means 5 oranges. Okay, now this is another function. We have created another set of function inside of this function. Okay, instead of this function, we have created another function. Now if I should run this, it won't work. It won't display anything. You can see here, nothing was displayed. Why? Because we have not called the function. If you haven't know much about function, I advise you to go to the description and watch the video. Watch the video I have created about function. Okay, now we have to call this function. Now to call this function, or anyone, okay, let us call this function first. Let's call this function first because this is nested. Now if I should call this function, I will have to go back once. So I will call the function at the same line with the def. Okay, now say the name of the function is orange. Now I've called the function. Now let us also call this function. Now to call this function, we go down and also go down. We need to give like 2 spaces. Okay, now we now call this function by going straight back without indentation. Okay, see where our arrow is, but see where this one is. This one will have to start at the very beginning. Okay, we say fruits. That's the name of that function. Okay, now if we should call only this function without including this, it won't still work. Okay, because this function is just like a child to this. The father needs to be around before the son. Now you can see here the codes are correct, but nothing was able to execute. Why that happened is because we have not called this function, and this function is the one that contains this data. All these data are stored in this function. So you calling this function won't stay run because where it will run has not been called. It will only run from this. It has not been called. Now if I should call that function, if I should call this function called fruits and also remove this function, okay, now this block of code will run, but this function will not run because it has not been called. Okay, now if I should run this, let's see, you can see the first line has run. It says here is the list of fruits we have. Okay, and everything ended. No more, nothing else happened because we have not called that function. Here the list of food we have. Okay, I can say return. Okay, or sorry, let us use print statements. Okay, let us print this out and continue. Now you can see here are the list of fruits we have: orange, banana, and apple. Yes, nothing happens. Okay, the other block of code was not executed, it didn't come out, as you can see there. Now, as you can see, this the color is faint. The color is faint, is not as bright as this, because we have called this function but we haven't called this. Okay, now how to do that? Come right down here, indent it, and then call the function. The name of the function is orange. Now if I should call this function, as you can see, the color is now out. Okay, if I should run this, everything will work correctly. You can see here is the list of fruits we have: orange, banana, apple. And then the second block of code has run orange. Under orange, how many oranges do you want? Maybe I want 3 oranges. If I should hit enter, it said 3 oranges. Okay, the other block of code is now working. Okay, yeah, I can also add another function called banana. Okay, I can also add another function called banana. Now how to do that? We still have to come down here and then define a function called banana. Now to define this function called banana, it must not be indented here. Okay, it must not be indented here. Why? Because banana is not like a child to orange. Banana and orange has nothing in common, but the only thing that relates the two is that they both are fruits, but they both are not same. Okay, because they both are fruits and are not same, you don't have to store it in under orange. What you can store under orange might be ripe, deaf orange, ripe or unripe. That is things about orange, condition of orange. Okay, but we are now defining another function called banana, another type of fruit called banana. Since it is another type of fruit and not the same type with orange, we don't have to store the function under orange. It will still work, it will work. Okay, you can, depending on what you are doing, you can, but for now we don't have to. So because banana is not the same with orange but they are the same with fruit, we have to take this back a bit, so it will be indented under fruits. Okay, you can see here it was indented under fruit, that is 4 space 1 2 3 4, like this one was, like this was. Okay, it is the same thing, but you wish, if we should indent this anymore, it is now under orange, which we don't want it to be under orange, but you can, depending on what you are doing. So now under banana, I may say print, maybe banana, and then maybe cos 2, or of course it won't access this because they both are not in the same function. Okay, it won't access that because equals to inputs. How many banana do you want? Okay, I can say print, then we now enter how many banana we want. Okay, we have to enter the variable name which contains the number of banana we enter, the user wants. Okay, then with a comma, and also we now enter a words that we print out. Maybe if the user enters 4, it will be 4 bananas. Okay, now this block of code won't still work because we have not called the function. As you can see here, this is faint because we have not called the function. Okay, now there is a yellow line under here. There's a yellow line under here. This yellow line simply means we need to give some space which we didn't give. Okay, the block of code will work, but Python is not okay with that. Python is not okay with that. Okay, you can just hit an enter and the yellow line will leave. As you can see, the yellow line is no more there. It wants you to give a space. Okay, it's requesting a space, so the function will not be jam packed with others. As you can see, there's a space here. You can see there's a space here. Okay, the same thing here, we need a space, there's a space here. Okay, now this one, there's a yellow line here. This simply means we have only one space here after we must have defined our function. Function requires 2 spaces before you call the complete function, so you have to give like 2 spaces here. Okay, so I see the yellow line has left. Okay. While other ones, functions, which are under functions, you can call it anywhere. Now let us call this function. Now to call this function, we won't call this function here. Like the name of the function is banana. Okay. The name of the function is banana. Okay. Let us try and see. Let us try. Now this works. It asks me how many oranges I want. Maybe I want 3 oranges. I hit enter. It says 3 oranges. Then it now comes banana. How many banana do you want? I want 2 banana. Okay. Now it says 2 banana. Okay. The same thing happens if I should also include uh apple. I should also include apple. After I must have defined this function. Now let us write another function called apple. Print customer equals to inputs. How many apples do you want? Print cost, which is the variable that contains the total number of apple the user wants. Then we now enter a string by telling by printing out a word which we want to follow with the total number of apple the user enters. Okay, if it is 5 apples. Okay. Now we'll call the function. Let us call the function here orange, banana, and then apple. As you can see, all these functions are indented. All of them are indented. All of them are indented, but fruits are not indented because that is the head. Okay, there are still yellow line here. We have to give space. Okay, the yellow line is no more. Now we have write a functions inside of a function. Nested function. We have nested three fruits inside of a function. Okay, now if we should run this, okay, maybe right after all these things, we may print uh, or should we print it here? Okay, let us just print it here. You have selected mm, okay, I'm just checking something, but that won't work because this is not a global variable. On our next class, we treat on global variables. Okay, this is not a global variable. All of these, they are not a global variable, so they cannot be accessed outside of the function. Okay, they're not a global variable, so they cannot be accessed. So for now, we are done. For now, let us print all of this block of codes. Here is a list of fruits we have: orange, banana, apple. Now in orange, it says how many oranges do you want? I want 5 oranges. I should hit enter. 5 oranges. Now banana, how many bananas do you want? I want 3 bananas. I hit enter. Now it says 3. Apple, how many apple do you want? Maybe I want 6 apples. I hit enter. It says 6 apples. Okay. Now if you want to maybe print out the total number of what you have selected: 5 oranges, 3 bananas, and 6 apples. If you want to print that out, you have to uh thought it may be as a global variable, which I may like to discuss in another class. Okay, I may like to discuss that in another class. So assessing a variable inside of a function, maybe a variable that is outside of a function, like this variable here. Okay, as you can see, you have the same name. This variable here, and the other one, they are same name, but they are not doing same thing. They are the same name, but they contain different data. Why? Because they are not global variable. This variable that is in this function only ends in that function. You cannot call this variable outside of this function. Okay, unlike this, you cannot call this variable outside of this function. It only works right inside of this block of code. Okay, it only works right inside of here. It is not accessible outside of that function. So that is why we are able to use the same variable name in any function. Okay, you are able to use the same variable name in any function. But here, as the father, any variable name that you stated here can be accessed in all of these functions. Okay, this is a function. We stated the variable name called my fruits. I can access any variable we stated here inside of this, because this is like a parent. Whatsoever it has can be accessed on any function. Like here we have my fruit that contains this data. If I should come down here and enter B, my fruit, as you can see, is accessible. It has come out. This is it. It has come out. Okay, it is there. Okay, that is how it works. It will work because this variable name is just like a global variable, because it is saved outside, and it's just like the parents has it. Yeah, you see, the parents has the land. So as a child, the child can access the land owned by the parents. But once the child is old enough, any property that is his cannot be accessed by any other child, because the both are not same. But they can access from their parents. They can access from their father. Okay, but they cannot access. No one can access this. Banana cannot access from orange, because the both are not same, although they are same child to the father, but because maybe they have shared property, so you don't have rights over your brother's land. But here, as a father, you have rights, so you can access a variable here on this function, because this is the head of the functions. You can access a variable, but any other variable created here cannot be accessed anywhere. So that is how it is. Now in our next class, we will create a nested function inside of a nested function. We will nest a function inside of a function. Okay, something like this. Right here inside of this function, we will create another function, maybe with another name or something like that. Okay, we create another function with another name, and now this function has been created. Here's a def, here's a def, here's a def. Functions inside of a function. Okay, that is how you can do more in Python. Okay, follow me up. Now if I should run this, I have run that. That is how it works. Here's the list of fruits we have: orange, banana, apple, orange. How many oranges you want? I want 10 oranges. I hit enter. 10 oranges. Banana, how many banana do you want? I have 5. I hit enter. 5 bananas. How many apples do you want? I need 5 apples. I hit enter. Now it says 5 apples. Okay, now in our next class we will combine these things together, so it will print out you have bought 10 oranges, 5 banana, and 5 apple, which is total of this. Do you need more? Something like that. Okay, in our next class I'll teach you guys how to do that. It depends on when you're watching this video, because maybe after 2 days interval of this class I'll upload that. So you can also check my description. Maybe when you're watching this video I have uploaded that already. Check on my description and thank me later. Thanks.